Hey everyone, I'm super excited to bring you my interview with Julie. Julie was attacked by a Rottweiler and had to go through 6 painful, scary surgeries. She was living in pain and fear of losing more teeth, more surgeries. She had developed a choking disorder. Every time she ate, she was at risk of going to the hospital. And with 3 young children, this was a huge burden on the family. So here's my brief interview with her, and she explains very clearly how quick the process was for her. She didn't have to lose any more teeth, no more surgeries, and no more trips to the ER for that choking disorder. What was the experience like for you making the decision to come, going through the process? What was that like for you?
Definitely like finances always come into play, right? So it was, okay, well, there's this financial commitment. However, based on my knowledge of you and testimonials that I heard, I thought, oh, well, this is an easy financial commitment because I was going to doctors and chiropractic and acupuncture all the time, plus living in pain and fear and emotional trauma that obviously going to you a couple times with a one-time commitment
Was a lot cheaper.
was much cheaper than
And probably more
on repeat. Yes, on repeat going to all of these other people, which I was getting temporary relief. And sometimes longer term, you need 3 months, 6 months, but not a permanent relief.
Nice.
So then, after committing to that, it was an obvious like, all right, I'm not going to book these acupuncture and chiropractic appointments and my doctor's appointments. I'm just going to commit to this, do that, focus in, and see how it goes. And it obviously worked.
Hello, I am sitting here with Julie, and Julie came to me. Her husband actually called me and said you were struggling with some kind of PTSD-like issues. Do you want to tell our listeners what that was like and what you were feeling and what kind of relief you were looking for?
Yes. So at the time, I was having PTSD issues from a dog attack. And I attributed all my fears to just that. And thankfully, because of Dr. Tara, it was much bigger than that. I was just living in fear of like other teeth going bad, having more surgeries, living in fear what day I would wake up in pain. I got an esophagus disease, which I think it all kind of went hand in hand, where I would choke on different foods. So it's called eosinophilic esophagitis. Pretty much from here up, TMJ pain, headaches, neck pain, all kind of correlated to the dog attack is what I attributed all the pain to.
So it's pretty hard to heal when we're in fight or flight, when the brain is getting the message that we have to run for our lives or fight somebody or hide or freeze. So what was the experience like for you making the decision to come, going through the process? What was that like for you?
Definitely like finances always come into play, right? So it was, okay, well, there's this financial commitment. However, based on my knowledge of you and testimonials that I heard, I thought, oh, well, this is an easy financial commitment because I was going to doctors and chiropractic and acupuncture all the time, plus living in pain and fear and emotional trauma that obviously going to you a couple times with a one-time commitment
Was a lot cheaper.
was much cheaper than
And probably more
on repeat. Yes, on repeat going to all of these other people, which I was getting temporary relief. And sometimes longer term, 3 months, 6 months, but not a permanent relief.
Nice.
So then, after committing to that, it was an obvious like, all right, I'm not going to book these acupuncture and chiropractic appointments and my doctor's appointments. I'm just going to commit to this, do that, focus in, and see how it goes. And it obviously worked.
So from like an emotional, obviously from scheduling and financial, that obviously was a big win. What was it like emotionally to transition from just being in fear, being in pain a lot? What was that like for you?
Hey guys, studies are showing that 68% of people that watch podcasts regularly don't click the subscribe button. Do me a huge favor. If you like this content, click subscribe so other people know where to go for the cool stuff. Thank you.
I mean, honestly, every day I would wake up and think, oh, is my tooth hurting today? Am I going to lose that one? Or, oh, every bite of food I took, am I going to choke this time? Or are my kids going to see me choke? Then coming here, and it was absolute immediate. I just felt like I was like an angel flying through the air, like so light. And it's never changed since. And this was nearly a year ago.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. And I've never once choked. I've never once thought about like, oh my gosh, do you have enough water to swallow food down?
How many weeks had you gone? Because I remember that, and that was very concerning because it's like, that's potentially life-threatening. So how many weeks had you been concerned? I think you had been to the ER a time or two.
So yeah, I think it was a good 3-year period of not regular choking, but anytime I ate like carrots, meats, oftentimes I'd get up from the dinner table and wait by the kitchen sink to either have it pass and come up or try to swallow it down with water. But probably went to the ER like 3 times to get the impacted food taken out. But the whole time you're choking and you can't talk and you can't swallow and you can't spit up and you can't vomit. It's just stuck. So it's a very vulnerable position to be in because you feel like you're going to die because when you're choking, you assume that's the only end result. So going to the hospital happened 3 times, but it happened regularly, especially events like my husband's work events or weddings. Oftentimes there's meat and I would vomit up food at the table because I'd be choking on it in front of all these people I don't know. So there was a lot of social anxiety, social embarrassment, social settings around food and eating, which we all, as a culture, that's part of socialization is food and eating. Let's see. So it's more like an isolated feeling like, oh, I don't want to eat.
And that had gone on for 3 years.
At least, yeah.
Wow.
So before that, it would probably just feel more like constriction and a pill caught in my throat. But then it turned into so much inflammation over time that I would choke.
Wow. And after the session, you noticed immediately that things were improving. Is that correct?
I've never choked on food again, never vomited up food. But the bigger thing, not even that, I think I could handle that now, is that I wasn't fearful of eating and choking. So that was like the bigger part. And my kids have never looked at me like, Mom, is it happening?
Right.
They'd always watch me during dinner.
That must have been really hard for your husband and your children.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then they're little kids, you know, to have to watch Mom like, what do we do if she chokes? That's not something you want your kids to worry about. So.
And you had been through how many surgeries to deal with the trauma to your jaw?
So I don't even know because they did root canals to try to save the teeth, ultimately extracted the teeth. And then you wait, 9 months for the bone to kind of heal and then put in the implants. So at least 6 or more surgeries.
And I know the concern was that you might have to have more. So one of the goals that we had was to build up your immune system and strengthen your ability to heal, which of course, if you're in a fight or flight panic, your body can't really do very well because its resources are diverted somewhere else. How soon after the session did the pain start to diminish?
I mean, I feel like everything right after the session, until like immediate, I just didn't. And of course, there's moments more so because of my night guard. Sometimes I'll have like a little tenderness because my night guard didn't go in correctly, but there's nothing I can eat with that tooth. I'm not worried that the tooth is failing anymore. There's not a daily pain or a weekly pain or any kind of consistency. It's purely due to something that I put in my mouth wrong. Everything just kind of vanished away as far as, and I think a big part of it is not focusing in on the fear of this pain coming back. So you're almost telling your brain,
Right.
when's it coming?
Right.
I'm ready for it.
Right.
So it's just, I think that's the big part of retraining my brain to know everything is okay. Everything is healed.
So after our session, I always make a customized audio tape and you listen to that each night. How was that experience for you?
Wonderful. And it was a great excuse to tell my husband, I need my 15 minutes of Sarah. So it was just so peaceful. And even if I didn't have your guided meditation, just everyone should meditate.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should all take that time for ourselves to meditate.
Absolutely.
But that specifically in that time in my life, it just ingrains your brain to think correctly and to realize my body's healed. God's giving me this body that can heal itself. And now I have to believe it and know that this is real. And just having that repetitive every day, sometimes twice a day, if I wanted it. It just was so good for the soul. And still, whenever I'm feeling slight anxious, I'll go back to it a year later. And I was like, your sweet, tender voice is just immediate relaxation.
Love that. That's so wonderful. So what would you say to somebody else who may be struggling with something and they just don't know, it's uncharted territory, they might be frightened? What would you say to them?
I think there's an underlying cause to all of our ailments, whether it's physical, psychological, whatever it is. And just finding the root cause to your trauma, to your pain, to your chronic disease, whatever it is. It's not just that God gave you this disease. There's something causing it, and finding those people, Dr. Tara, just your people that can help you find the root causes, because your body can heal itself. We don't need medications. We don't need all of this stuff and input to heal us. We can heal ourselves, and just taking the leap of faith and knowing you deserve health too. Because I think, especially for myself and as a mom and having kids, we give our kids all this attention and time and don't take it for ourselves. But if mama ain't happy, no one's happy. So take care of yourself, and your whole family will feel healed too, just through yourself. So just always take that leap of faith for yourself to fight for your own health, because we all deserve that.
Yeah. And that's not to say that you didn't utilize standard medicine when you needed it. Obviously, you had been attacked and you needed your jaw medically dealt with, and you did that, and anything else that was appropriate for you. Yeah. But if your nervous system is on fight or flight all the time, it's really difficult to cultivate those resources and channel those resources to healing.
Right. Oh, completely.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time, because you're a busy mom where you've got kids and the household and a husband. I just admire all the stuff you do all day, every day, and appreciate you sharing your message. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Not a bit. Not a bit. She's the best. She's the best.
You're amazing. Thank you so much. And if you like the interview, if you got value from it, please click the subscribe button, click the like button, and we'll see you on the next interview. This podcast is intended for the purpose of providing information and education. It does not provide advice and is not meant to be used for any self-diagnosis or the replacement of any kind of licensed professional. The creators and individuals appearing here do not endorse any specific tests, positions, medications, products, or procedures. The views and opinions are expressed in this podcast are of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.